Good evening, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Also want to acknowledge the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Also want to acknowledge Yahweh Shai. I pray that the Most High blesses this lesson today and gives us knowledge, understanding of the events of the past, the events that are going on currently on the earth, and the things soon to come on the earth. I've been reading a lot from the Florentine Codex, or the codices, and just getting more knowledge and understanding, and praying to the Most High to send the Spirit to me to put this information in a way that's easily understandable. The subject matter is very intense, and it helps to clarify a lot of things, but it's not easy to try to articulate it in a way that's easy for the vast majority of us to understand. So I would suggest that we all pray that the Most High gives us the Holy Spirit in order to put these pieces together. What we're going to be getting into is what were our ancestors doing? What types of gods were they worshiping? How did they go off and stoke the anger of the Father to the point where he brought the evil nations from across the ocean over here to pretty much be his whooping stick? What did we do that so displeased the Father that he allowed us to be under the rulership of the other nations? That's what we're going to be getting into. And that's what's been, as you start to listen to this video, you're going to start to see why this information was hidden. Okay? Now I said, where would you find this in the scriptures, in the Bible? Where would you find examples of how the Northern Kingdom went off and was idol worshiping? You really wouldn't, as far as like in the last few hundred years, because the vast majority of their records were over here and have been hidden. And that's why the Most High, kept this information hidden until the end, in order to give clarification as to the things that happened to our people. A couple videos ago, I talked about the omens that the Most High was bringing to our people years before the Spanish got here. So they were already waiting, for this cataclysm to happen. They knew it was coming. And we'll get into that in another video. But you're going to see today that the idol worshiping that our ancestors were doing here on this continent was nothing new. It's actually something that goes all the way back to Cain and Abel, and actually continued after the flood, when Satan seduced Nimrod and made him think that he was part of the priestly line. He gave him rulership under Satan to follow demons, and then to have the whole world following these demons and these other gods. And we're going to read tonight from the book of Jasher. If you have your Sefer, we're going to read from the book of Jasher, chapter 11, verses 16 through 61. Kind of shows you how the Most High had set this up. He had set our people up to be the adversaries of the demons and the demon worshipers. But many times, instead of our people being the adversaries, we ended up becoming their allies and worshiping their gods. And when we did that, the Most High had to punish us. So this is an account of how it should have been, how the Most High had set it up. And it's going to be a confrontation between Abraham, but this time he was still called Abram, and his father Terah. And if you don't read other books, this might be something new. But there's a whole lot of other information and interactions between people that many have not been exposed to. So you can look up Jasher if you don't have it. But the one in the Sefer is actually pretty good. I have a couple of versions of it. I actually have just the one by itself, which is what I read the first time I read Jasher. And then also in the Sefer, it has it as well. I'm going to actually be reading it from the Sefer. I'm going to pull it up real quick. And we're going to read chapter 11, and we'll start at verse 16. It says, "And Abram came to his father's house, and saw 12 Elohim standing there in their temples. And the anger of Abram was kindled when he saw these images in his father's house. And Abram said, As Yahweh lives, these images shall not remain in my father's house. So shall Yahweh, who created me, do unto me, if in 3 days' times I do not break them all. And Abram went from them, and his anger burned within him. And Abram hastened and went from the chamber to his father's outer court. And he found his father sitting in the court, and all his servants with him. And Abram came and sat before him. And Abram asked his father, saying, Father, tell me, where is Elohim, who created heaven and earth, and all the sons of men upon earth? And who created you and me? And Terah answered his son, Abram, and said, Behold, those who created us are all with us in the house. And Abram said to his father, My Lord, show them to me, I pray you. And Terah brought Abram into the chamber of the inner court. And Abram saw, and behold, the whole room was full of Elohim, of wood and stone, 12 great images, and others less than they without number. And Terah said to his son, Behold, these are they which made all you see upon earth, and which created me and you and all mankind. And Terah bowed down to his Elohim. And he then went away from them, and Abram, his son, went away with him. And when Abram had gone from them, he went to his mother and sat before her. And he said to his mother, Behold, my father has shown me those who made heaven and earth, and all the sons of men. Now therefore, hasten to fetch a kid from the flock, and make of it a savory meat, that I may bring it to my father's Elohim, as an offering for them to eat. Perhaps I may thereby become acceptable to them. And his mother did so, and she fetched a kid, and made savory meat thereof, and brought it to Abram. And Abram took the savory meat from his mother, and brought it before his father's Elohim. And he drew nigh to them, that they might eat. And Terah his father did not know of it. And Abram saw on the day when he was sitting amongst them, that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion, and not one of them could stretch forth his hand to eat. And Abram mocked them, and said, Surely the savory meat that I prepared has not pleased them. Or perhaps it was too little for them, or for that reason they would not eat. Therefore tomorrow I will prepare fresh savory meat, better and more plentiful than this, in order that I may see the result. And it was on the next day that Abram directed his mother concerning the savory meat. And his mother rose and fetched 3 fine kids from the flock. And she made of them some excellent savory meat, such as her son was fond of. And she gave it to her son Abram. And Terah his father did not know of it. And Abram took the savory meat from his mother, and brought it before his father's Elohim into the chamber. And he came nigh unto them, that they might eat. And he placed it before them. And Abram sat before them all day, thinking perhaps they might eat. And Abram viewed them, and behold, they had neither voice nor hearing, nor did one of them stretch forth his hand to the meat to eat. And in the evening of that day, in that house, Abram was clothed with the Ruach Elohim. And he called out and said, Woe unto my father, and this wicked generation, whose hearts are all inclined to vanity, who serve these idols of wood and stone, which can neither eat, smell, hear, nor speak, who have mouths without speech, eyes without sight, ears without hearing, hands without feeling, and legs which cannot move, like them or those that made them, and that trust in them. And when Abram saw all these things, his anger was kindled against his father. And he hastened and took a hatchet in his hand, and came into the chamber of the Elohim, and he broke all his father's Elohim. And when he had done breaking the images, he placed a hatchet in the hand of the great Elohim, which was there before them. And he went out, and Terah his father came home, for he had heard at the door the sound of the striking of the hatchet. So Terah came into the house to know what it was about. And Terah, having heard the noise of the hatchet in the room of images, ran to the room to the images, and he met Abram going out. And Terah entered the room, and found all the idols fallen down and broken, and the hatchet in the hand of the largest, which was not broken, and the savory meat which Abram his son had made was still before them. And when Terah saw this, his anger was greatly kindled, and he hastened and went from the room to Abram. And he found Abram his son still sitting in the house. And he said to him, What is this work you have done to my Elohim? And Abram answered Terah his father, and he said, Not so, my lord, for I brought savory meat before them. And when I came nigh to them with the meat that they might eat, they all at once stretched forth their hands to eat, before the great one had put forth his hand to eat. And the large one saw their works that they did before him, and his anger was violently kindled against them. And he went and took the hatchet that was in the house, and came to them, and broke them all. And behold, the hatchet is yet in his hand, as you see. And Terah's anger was kindled against his son Abram when he spoke this. And Terah said to Abram his son in his anger, What is this tale that you have told? You speak lies to me. And there in these Elohim's rock, soul of power to do all you have told me. Are they not wood and stone? And have I not myself made them? And can you speak such lies, saying that the large Elohim that was with them smote them? It is you that did place the hatchet in his hands, and then say he smote them all. And Abram answered his father and said to him, And how can you serve these idols, in whom there is no power to do anything? Can those idols in which you trust deliver you? Can they hear your prayers, or when you call upon them? Can they deliver you from the hands of your enemies? Or will they fight your battles for you against your enemies? That you should serve wood and stone, which can neither speak nor hear. And now surely it is not good for you, nor for the sons of men that are connected with you, to do these things. Are you so silly, so foolish, or so short of understanding, that you will serve wood and stone, and do after this manner? And forget Yahweh Elohim, who made heaven and earth, and who created you in the earth, and thereby bring a great evil upon your souls in this matter by serving stone and wood. Did not our fathers in days of old sin in this matter? And Yahweh Elohim of the universe brought the waters of the flood upon them and destroyed the whole earth. And how can you continue to do this and serve Elohim of wood and stone, who could not hear or speak or deliver you from oppression, thereby bringing down the anger of the Elohim of the universe upon you? Now therefore, my father, refrain from this, and bring not evil upon your soul and the souls of your household. And Abram hastened and sprang from before his father, and took the hatchet from his father's largest idol, in which Abram broke it and ran away. And Terah, seeing all that Abram had done, hastened to go from his house. And he went to the king, and and he came before Nimrod and stood before him. And he bowed down to the king. And the king said, "What do you want?" And he said, "I beseech you, my lord, to hear me. Now 50 years back a child was born to me, and thus was he done, and thus has he done to my Elohim, and thus has he spoken. And now therefore, my lord and king, send for him, that he may come before you, and judge him according to the law, that we may be delivered from his evil." And the king sent 3 men of his servants, and they went and brought Abram before the king. And Nimrod and all his princes and servants were that day sitting before him, and Terah sat also before them. And the king said to Abram, "What is this you have done to your father and to his Elohim?" And Abram answered the king in the words that he spoke to his father. And he said, "The large Elohim that was with them in the house did to them what you have heard." And the king said to Abram, "Have they power to speak and eat and do as you have said?" And Abram answered the king, saying, "And if there be no power in them, or why do you serve them, and cause the sons of men to err through your follies? Do you imagine that they can deliver you, or do anything small or great, that you should serve them? And why will you not sense the Elohim of the whole universe, who created you and in whose power it is to kill and keep alive? O foolish, simple, and ignorant king, woe unto you forever. I thought you would teach your servants the upright way, but you have not done this, but have filled the whole earth with your sins and the sins of your people who have followed your ways. Do you not know, or have you not heard, that this evil which you do, our ancestors sinned therein in days of old, and the eternal Elohim brought the waters of the flood upon them and destroyed them all, and also destroyed the whole earth on their account? And will you and your people rise up now and do like unto this work, in order to bring down the anger of Yahweh Elohim of the universe, and to bring evil upon you and the whole earth? Now therefore put away this evil deed which you do, and serve the Elohim of the universe, as your soul is in his hands, and then it will be well with you. And if your wicked heart will not hearken to my words, to cause you to forsake your evil ways, and to serve the eternal Elohim, then will you die in shame in the latter days, you, your people, and all who are connected with you, hearing your words or walking in your evil ways. And when Abram had ceased speaking before the king and princes, Abram lifted up his eyes to the heavens, and he said, Yahweh sees all the wicked, and he will judge them. The worshiping of idols, these gods of wood and stone, has been something that's been happening to our people for a very long time. This is just the last time that it's going to happen. So like I said, after the flood, Nimrod continued pushing, pretty much worshiping these other gods. He was still pushing it because he was aligned with Satan, the deceiver. Okay? Now, Abraham was a representative of the Most High and his priestly line. And it was his job, because the Holy Spirit was put on him, to destroy the fake gods, to give him the power and the knowledge to understand, to be able to recognize that these were fake little gods made of wood and stone. The vast majority of the world could not see that. Even Terah to the point that he was going to offer up his son to be killed because he destroyed his little gods of wood and stone. Is that not what happens to us, brethren, once we come into this truth? That even our family members that we thought loved us would turn against us just because we go against their gods of wood and stone. This is a prime example of what a father turned against his own son because he violated his fake gods of wood and stone. There's nothing new under the sun. Same things are happening today. So as the Most High awakens some of us, then people that we even live with, that we've been with for 15, 20, 30 years, become alien to us because the Spirit has awakened us and not them. Okay? Now, we're going to get into a book that I've read a while ago, but I haven't really taught much from it because, like I said, it's a very intense book. I'm going to venture to say the vast majority of people haven't read it, but a few I know have. And I guess it just wasn't time for it to be brought out, but now it is. Because you start seeing the connections between this book and the Florentine Codex. Okay, here we go. We're going to be getting into the Testament of Solomon. If you're not familiar with it, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. Okay, it's from my Old Testament pseudepigrapha books. All right, there's 2 volumes. This one will be from volume number 1, towards the back. Okay, volume number 1. And what happens here is King Solomon, is given a ring. And with this ring, he's able to subdue the demons of the earth. Once he gets control of these demons, he then gets them to build the temple. And who knows if he was able to get them to build other things as well. So there's many things that, especially here in the Americas, that is like, people always wondering how they build these things. Well, you're talking about giants, you're talking about demons, you're talking about a lot of different entities that were around that were under the control of people and that were used to help build things. This story shows how the Most High gave him a ring. Kind of like, and then you start thinking about the movie Lord of the Rings. Got one ring to rule them all. So they get all this information out of our books, especially the ones that are hidden. This one ring was used to rule them all. It was used to rule the demons. Okay? It was used to rule the demons. I'll get rid of some of these pop-ups that are coming up here. Okay. Hold on. Okay. All right. So, yes, it was used to rule the demons. We're going to read a little bit right here. Let's see. Now, this demon is having a discussion with Solomon, and is actually telling the future of what's going to happen in the future. So you take a look at where I have underlined, where it says, "So do not ask me so many things, Solomon, for eventually your kingdom will be divided. This glory of yours is temporary. You have us to torture for a little while. Then we shall disperse among human beings again, with the result that we shall be worshipped as gods, because men do not know the names of the angels who rule over us." This is very important right here, okay? Where it says, with the result that we shall be worshipped as gods. These demons that he had under his control knew that eventually they were going to be released and that they would be worshipped as gods. Okay? That's really important, which we're going to come back to that in a little bit. All right? So that was something that's going to happen here in the future, was that these demons were under the control of Solomon, used to build the temple. And then later on, because they knew it was only going to be temporary, they were going to be under his rule. They were going to be released, and they were going to trick men to worship these demons as gods. Okay? things that many people were doing in the past, no problem. The main thing was trying to get our people, the Most High's chosen seed. It's always about us trying to worship the other gods. They're always trying to trick us into doing that. Okay? Let's continue. Another time here, another demon is going to tell about the truth here. Well, the future, what's going to happen. Okay. Let's see. It says, "You are doing these things to us now, King Solomon, but after a period of time, your kingdom shall be divided. At still a later time, this temple shall be destroyed, and all Jerusalem shall be demolished by the kings of the Persians and Medes and Chaldeans. Also, the implements of this temple which you are making shall serve other gods. Along with these events, okay, also all the vessels in which you have entrapped us shall be broken in pieces by the hands of men. Then we shall come forth with much power, and we shall be scattered here and there throughout the world. We will lead astray all the inhabited world for a long time." Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. I'm not gonna get into the other stuff right now, but they're gonna pretty much lead astray all the inhabited world for a long time. So this was really important because these demons, like I said, were under the control of Solomon. He used them to build the temple, to build all the things inside the temple. But they knew that they were going to be released, and they were going to lead the whole world astray. Going to get all these different people to pretty much worship the demons. Okay? Now, another one. So I'm kind of just going, there's a lot of information, but I gotta have to pick and choose what I'm going to get into. You know, it's just something that if you want to read, I was just kind of finding it and reading it yourself, but it's a lot of information. Next part right here is Solomon explains why he wrote the Testament. This is what he did right here was definitely what's happening right now in biblical prophecy. You're seeing biblical prophecy coming to pass right now because of what he said was the reason as to why he wrote this. Because he knew that once these demons were released, that they were going to lead the whole world astray. And at the end, remember, it talks about how all these different books are going to be released in order for us to be able to find out what our true calling is, find out who our true power is, and to be able to turn away from worshiping these other demons that we're going to be tricked into worshiping. Here we go. It says, Solomon explains why he wrote the Testament. "When I, Solomon, heard these things, I glorified the Most High. Though I was amazed at the defense of the demons, I distrusted them and did not believe the things which were said by them until they occurred. But when they happened, then I understood. And at my death, I wrote this testament to the sons of Israel, and I gave it to them, so that they might know the powers of the demons and their forms, as well as the names of the angels by which they are thwarted. When I had glorified the Most High of Israel, I commanded the spirit to be bound up with unbreakable bonds." All right. So again, remember now, these books were supposed to be given to our Israelites here at the end. This here was going to be one of them right there when it says, let's read that again. "I distrusted them, and I did not believe the things which were said by them until they occurred. But when they happened, then I understood. And at my death, I wrote this testament to the sons of Israel, and I gave it to them." Okay, so that they might know the powers of the demons and their forms, as well as the names of the angels by which they are thwarted. When I glorified the God of Israel, I commanded the spirits to be bound up with unbreakable bonds. So these books here were for the sons of Israel in order for them to be able to get knowledge, understanding here at the end, in order to be able to teach the family about this information at the end. That's why this information is now coming out right now. Okay, this is part of biblical prophecy, these books being given back to us in order for us to be able to bring the puzzle pieces back together. Okay, the Israelites, we were created to oppose these demons. Okay, we ended up worshiping them instead of opposing them. We lost our way. We lost our purpose. And that's why the Most High has to pull us up out of this ocean that we were drowning in. He had to pull us out of that because we ended up worshiping the very demons we were sent here to oppose. And without the Father pulling us out of these waters, there's no way we would ever be able to find our way back to Him. And that's a huge blessing with the ones that He's chosen to bring out of these waters and to clear our eyes away, to give us these words in order for us to clean out our eyes, in order to be able to see again and be able to get knowledge and understanding once again of who we are and what is our purpose. The vast majority of the world is still stuck in those waters, but the Most High is every day pulling more people out of the waters, and He's using us, family, to do that. Now we're going to be getting into that Florentine Codex once again. Let's see here. Well, let me see. Should I read this part first? Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to read this part first. Okay. We're going to get to the Florentine Codex shortly. We're going to talk about one of the gods here that Solomon interrogates, Beelzebul. All right, this is one of the main demons, okay? He's going to show up again in a little bit. But first, we're going to kind of talk about him for real quick about some of his attributes, okay? It says, then I summoned Beelzebul to appear before me again. When he was seated, I thought it appropriate to ask him, why are you alone, prince of the demons? He replied, because I am the only one left of the heavenly angels who fell. I was the highest ranking angel in heaven, the one called Beelzebul. There also accompanied me another ungodly angel whom God cut off and now imprisoned here. He holds in his power the race of those bound by me in Tartarus. He is being nurtured in the Red Sea. When he is ready, he will come in triumph. I said to him, what are your activities? He replied, I bring, this is very important, destruction by means of tyrants. I cause the demons to be worshipped alongside men. So right there, you see that? He's going to cause these demons to be worshipped alongside men. Okay? And I arouse desire in holy men and select priests. I bring about jealousies and murders in a country, and I instigate wars. That's really, really important right there. The part about him instigating wars. All right. So this is Beelzebul. If you want to read a little bit more, there's more right here. But as you can see on the right, there's also a whole lot of precepts, because when you start to read these accounts, they actually go with many parts of the Bible, and many parts of the Bible actually referring back to a lot of this information because they had access to all these books. So many times when people are reading certain things in like the New Testament or in the Old Testament, they're referencing other things that people have no idea they're referencing. Okay, so Beelzebul right there. Next one here is Solomon interrogates Lix Tetrax, the demon of the wind. After I praised the Most High, I, Solomon, requested the presence of another demon, and he appeared before me. He was burying his face on the air high above, and the remaining part of his body was crawling along like a little snail. Suddenly he broke through a large contingent of soldiers, raised up a blustering cloud of dust from the earth, transported it upward, and hurled it against me many times while I watched in amazement. I exclaimed, what do we have here? But this continued for a long time. When I stood up, I spat on the ground at that spot, and I sealed him with the ring of the Most High. As a result, the moving air stopped. Then I asked him, saying, "Who are you?" After he had stirred up another cloud of dust, he answered me, "What do you want, King Solomon?" I answered him, "Tell me what you are called. Also, I want to interrogate you." Thus, I give thanks to the Most High, who instructs me as to how to respond to their evil plots. So the demon said to me, "I am called Lix Tetrax." "What is your activity?" I queried. He responded, "I create divisions among men. I make whirlwinds. I set fires. I set fields on fire. And I make households non-functional. Usually I carry on my activity in the summertime. If I get the chance, I slither in under the corners of houses during the night or day. I am the direct offspring of the Great One." I asked him, "In which constellation do you reside?" He replied, "Toward the very tip of the horn of the moon. When it is found in the south, there is my star. Therefore, I was assigned to draw out the fever which strikes for a day and a half. As a result, many men, when they see this, pray about the day and a half fever, invoking these three names, okay? Baltala, Thalal, Makal. And I heal them. Then I, Solomon, said to him, "But when do you wish to do evil? Who grants you the power?" He replied, "The angel by whom also the day and a half fever is stopped." All right, so we're going to stop right there. One of the main things is he's a demon of the wind, and he creates divisions among men. I can go into quite a few different ones, but I'm only going to go through only a couple tonight, and maybe I'll just kind of do some more in the future. But I don't want to go into this too many times with too many different demons and everything else. Okay, these two will suffice for this video. Okay, now we'll jump into the Florentine Codex. Okay. All right, we're going to take a look at E. Okay, this one here is going to go with Beelzebul, the creator of war. Okay, remember now they just changed their names, but this is one of the gods that our people was worshiping. Okay, and it says, "Now it is required that you hear the history of each of those who were your forefathers' gods, that their wickedness may be plain." So this is the Spaniards talking about the gods that the natives here or the Israelites here were worshiping. Okay, the ancients who were well apprised related to us, and we have newly instructed you how there was worship of Huitzilopochtli everywhere in the land of Mexico. He was indeed the god of the Mexicans. But this Huitzilopochtli, we know, was a common man, a sorcerer, a omen of evil, a madman, a deceiver, and a creator of war, a warlord. He cast at men the turquoise serpent, the fire drill. Main thing right there is he was a creator of war. Okay, he created war. He instigated wars. That's what this god did. Okay, for this Huitzilopochtli, verily, the devil's man, your grandparents celebrated a feast day thrice each year. War captives were slain. Ceremonially bathed slaves were offered up. They shed much blood. There at Itipioc, many acts of confusion they performed before his image. This, which much confused, much terrified, much shamed men, your grandparents proceeded to do. So, main thing here, this was one of the main gods that our people was worshiping, and this god was actually a demon, Beelzebul, and he was the one that actually created. He was a creator of war. So if we go back there really quick, here he goes. He goes, Beelzebul right here. "I bring jealousies and murders in a country, and I instigate wars." So this demon right here, that's one of his main activities right there, was to instigate wars. So then when you go back over here to the Florentine Codex, it talks about right here, he was a creator of war. So this is that demon, Beelzebul, right here, that they changed the names of it, and we were ended up worshiping this demon as this god right here. Crazy, isn't it? Now, the second example I'm going to show you right here. F, okay? Likewise, we know that in times past, everywhere here in New Spain, there was worship of, oh my goodness, all these names, Tezcatlipoca, and they also named him Tiltuquan and Yodel Nikok, Yodel Mayakoya. I'm not even going to try that one. This Tezcatlipoca, the ancients went on to say, was a true God. His abode was everywhere, in the land of the dead, on earth, in heaven. When he walked upon the earth, he quickened war. He quickened vice, filth. He brought anguish, affliction to men. He brought discord among men. Wherefore he was called the enemy on both sides. Okay, this guy's bringing, okay, he's bringing a lot of discord with the men, okay? He mocked men. He ridiculed men. He was called wind or shadow right here. So he's called the god of wind, right there is shadow, okay? This wicked Tezcatlipoca we know is Lucifer, the great devil, who there in the midst of heaven, even in the beginning, began war, vice, filth. From there he was cast out. From there he fell. But he walketh here upon the earth, deceiving men, tricking men. For so is the word of God. Factum est, I'm not even going to read that in Latin. It means that is a great war was fought in the midst of heaven, which Lucifer began. Okay? This is a great devil. The ancients worshipped him, and they celebrated his feast day when it was the month of Toxcatl, and they slew his representation, whom they named Titliquan. So much were the ancients in confusion. And now the ancients are our people. So much, they were in so much confusion. Now look, now this guy he was called Wind, Shadow, and he caused a lot of discord among men. Now you go back to that one demon, the second one. He says right here, Lix Tetrax, right here. He was called the demon of the wind. Right here he's called Lix Tetrax, and he creates divisions among men. He makes whirlwinds, starts fires, but the thing is here, main thing, creating division among men, demon of the wind. So right there, he's called wind, shadow. He mocks men. He brought discord among men. Now, these are just two. In this book of the Florentine Codex, actually, book 1, there's, I don't know, like 20 or 30 or 20 to 30 different gods in here. So I started taking some time to kind of make these connections between the ones that Solomon had he had in control with the ring, and the ones that we were worshiping. Just like the prophecy had said, that for a time Solomon was going to have them under control because he had the ring. But eventually they were going to get out. And once they got out, they were going to trick men into following these demons as gods. And this is an example of that happening. This is an example of the fulfillment of that prophecy. Here, over here in the Americas. Let me go back to where it said that prophecy was going to happen. Right here. It says, so do not ask me so many things, Solomon, for eventually your kingdom will be divided. This glory of yours is temporary. You have us to torture for a little while. Then we shall disperse among human beings again, with the result that we shall be worshipped as gods. That part right there. Okay, we shall disperse among human beings again, with the result that we shall be worshipped as gods. And that's exactly what happened. And this shows you exactly why the Most High showed our people those omens, because we were worshiping these demons. We were made to be their adversaries, and we had become their allies. And that's why the Most High had to bring us, awaken us right here, and pull us out of the ocean, out of all the lies, out of the water, so we could see again. Because the demons had us under control, because we were worshiping them. That's why these 14 codex is so important. Because now, when I first started reading it, it was kind of like, it was difficult. Well, it wasn't what I expected. I was expecting maybe to hear about how they were, worship the Most High. But then it would just give me examples of how we were worshiping these other gods. And then the Most High gave me the connection of these other gods are actually demons. And he led me back to the Testament of Solomon, which I had read a couple of years ago. But like I said, I haven't done many videos on it because I just wasn't really led to until now. So we use a couple of examples right there, okay? It says, we were created to oppose evil. And we ended up, being overtaken by it. And the Most High left us, left us to that. He turned his face away from us, allowed us to worship the other nations, and then end up being taken over by them, and then end up being abused by them. But now he's awakening us. The Most High had to punish us. We had become co-heirs with the demon worshipers. We became a demon worshipers ourselves. And now at the end, he's awakening us, a few of us, up in order to assume our rightly roles as the Most High's children. And eventually some of us will end up being the battle axes of the Most High. Some of our people are going to assume the positions that the Most High has already preordained for them. And right now, we still have quite a few people who are still fighting, reading the other books, which is fine. It's not for everyone. But when they try to come with the same weak arguments, it says when a scoffer tries to disprove the Bible, then hits you with scriptures. I mean, you're pretty much trying to disprove the prophecies that the Most High said was going to come at the end. And at the end, other books are going to come and give more knowledge and understanding. We need to know what happened to our brethren over here. We need to know about the omens that the Most High sent. We need to know about the demon worship, God worship that was all prophesied to happen. We need to show the Most High's people that these prophecies have been fulfilled and how they were fulfilled. So when people try to tell us to try to limit us in reading and trying to find out what happened to our other, our brethren, this is the look that I give them when they're trying to sit there and say, yay, only the books that Esau says. That's it. Well, to me, that makes you a Catholic, because the Catholics I said, they're the ones that gave us 80 books because they don't want this information to come out. I mean, I'm going to bring out some more information about they were actually using Wisdom of Solomon the book of Wisdom of Solomon to justify the things that they did to us. And I'll be bringing that out next, or soon. I'm not going to say next, because I'm going to say whatever the Most High wants me to do. But letting the Gentiles tell us what we can and can't read now, we will not have it. Having Gentiles tell us that, we canonize 80 books, that's all you get, we will not have that. We're not going to have that anymore. Even if you use people that look just like us to do it, still, I have nothing to say. If that's what your stance is, we have nothing to talk about. I said, there's too much information now that's coming out, that you cannot get out of just reading the Bible. The Most High is now, like I said, he's making it plain. He's showing you who he's dealing with. He's showing you what he wants. He wants us to chase him. He wants us to chase him wherever it is that he leads us. He wants us to chase him. So I will not allow Gentiles to control the awakening over here. He might control the awakening at many other channels, but he's not going to control the awakening over here. We're going to read, we're going to work together as a family, and we're going to work together to try to figure this out and try to, chase our Father as best we can through the help of our Mother, the Holy Spirit. So like I said, we will not have it. We will not have Gentiles dictating what we read anymore. And even if Gentiles use people that look like us to still try to get his point across about reading only 80 books, then I guess we won't be listening to people who look like us either. We'll be just testing the spirit and following the people who have the same spirit that we do. Brethren, it's an amazing journey that keeps on growing every single day. I love the fact that now we have even more people that are coming together and working together in order to bring more knowledge and understanding to the family. It's a beautiful thing. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledge to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledge to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.